Page 20, Etude. Remember, an etude is a study piece of some technical thing having to do with music or piano playing or whatever. This is a scale study. You get scales. You see these runs going crazy all over everywhere? Those are scales. If you're doing the scales, and I hope you are, because if you're going to get them in the pieces, it's better to learn the scale and already be able to play it rather than trying to learn it in the piece. I've tried that. It doesn't work. Just do the scales. Anyway, I look it over. It's a page long, treble bass clef, one sharp in the key signature. We're in the key of G major, so go ahead and be doing the G major scale. One octave up and down is fine for now. If you're comfortable with one octave scales, then go ahead and start the 2 octaves. But again, it's the trill exercise and the accents that will do you the most good. And 2/4 time signature, so there's only 2 counts in a measure, but we have a lot of 16th notes. That's 1 E-enda, 2 E-enda. Well, it's okay, just take it really, really slow. 1 E-enda, 2 E, or whatever. Slower than that if you need to. But one hand at a time, because both hands are busy and we're moving around a bit. Right hand starts up here, put you here. Remember, all the F's are sharp. That's 1 E-enda, 1 E-and. See, the F sharps comes on and. 1 and. 1 E-enda, 2. And this is just a G major scale. 1 E-enda. 1. Now here, move the thumb up a little bit. Underneath, just bring it underneath. 3, 2. We have 2 D's there in the 4th major. And I'm changing hand position on those D's. And then do it again. 1 E-enda. Measure 7 is 1 E. I do 2 here, and they want a 4. That's fine. That's actually good. So 1 E-enda, 2 E-enda. Remember the dotted rhythm. 2 E-enda comes on the 2 E-enda, and then thumb, because you can reach out here, and then come back down. 2 4. Then a G, and that's just an 8th note there in measure 10. And you come up. I suggest you go ahead and do a 1 3 here for the measure 10, the last notes here, 1 3. This way we're in position, we can go on 1 2 4 for measure 11, and then measure 12, come up again. That way we can catch all the notes in measures 12 and 13 in one hand position. You're here, here. And that's quarter note there in measure 13. And then come back down again. This is, what, measure 14? 1 and 2 and 1. Or 1 E-enda, 2 E. I only do the 1 E-endas when I have 16th notes around. Otherwise it's 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and 1 and then 2 E-enda. And hold that A down, that quarter note in measure 15. The stem goes down. You have 2 voices. The top voice is, and the bottom voice is here. So hold the quarter note down here, and then you come up and do it again. Last line, last 2 measures. Now you're going to go up here. It's the same fingering as a G major scale, but we're not starting on G. We're starting on A. That's fine. You can start and end on any note. So. Now this fingering here is actually the fingering for 2 octave scale, because you have 4th here, and rather than a little finger, you bring the thumb under here. So maybe you should be doing the 2 octave scales now. And the last note, you get a bass clef there, so you come all the way down to here, G, B. They say 2 4, you can use any fingers, just play it. Left hand, well, the left hand has these broken chords. On the 3rd major, I use 4th finger on the F sharp because I'm saving the little finger for that one. You do it again, 3rd finger for measure 5, because that's what we had at the beginning. Now, measure 6. Then cross over, and then down, and I use 3 2. 2 for the half note. That way I can connect them. And after the double bars, now the left hand gets the scale. But this is a D major scale, because D major has 2 sharps. That's an F sharp and a C sharp, and that's what we're doing, D to D. And if you're doing the D major scale, you'll be familiar with it. If you're not, you'll get there. As far as which scale to use for this piece, I still say G major. Now, if you have time, you can do the D major, but at least do the G major scale here. The feeling on the fingers is the same for most of the scales. So all you got to do is adjust which black keys you're playing. And then for measure 11, you get treble clef here. And now, 4th finger. Then reach up. Now we're going to do a D major scale going down. Measure 15, that is an A and a G. And I used 3-2 for measure 16. And then you can thumb 3 here. A little awkward. It's kind of good though, it's good practice. Measure 17, we have 2 voices again. You have a half note, you're going to hold that down for the whole measure, and while you're doing that, you're playing the 8th notes. So it's that. And then lift it up, the half note up. Okay. Last 2 measures, treble clef again, and you're up here. It's a G major scale, and it's 1 E and 2. 1 E and O. Well, the right hand plays on 1 and you come in on the second. 1 E and O. And for the last note, you get bass clef back. You're down here. So we get treble clef and bass clef and treble clef and bass clef and whatever. So I get an idea what the hands are doing. Now, as I've done this, if I change fingering, I've written it in the music so I can remember it. I'll put the hands together. I'll hesitate, that's okay. How do the fingers go together? There. Here, these fingers. So I go through the whole thing and I try and get the hands together. And then I'll go over it a million times, just in little pieces, and I'll work out the hesitations. Don't keep trying to play the whole thing through every time. That's a waste of time. Inefficient practicing. Work on pieces. You might just work a measure or 2 at a time. Get the hesitations out. You see the double bars in the middle of the second line? Well, that's a section, remember? So the first section is those first, 9 measures or so, 8 measures. Just get those. Then once you have those, then put them aside. Don't play them now for a while. And just focus on the second section and get that. And when you get that, then you can go back and put it all together. You'll still be able to play the first section. It's just, if you keep starting at the beginning and go through, you'll learn the first part of it really good. But you don't always get all the way through. So as you get more into it, you'll get worse and worse and worse. It's an inefficient way to practice when you're learning a piece of music because you spend a lot of time playing stuff you can already play, like at the beginning. So focus on the stuff you can't play. And then when you can play it all, then you put it all together. You'll learn it much more quickly. So once I've got all the hesitations out of the way, I'll think about the articulation. There's slurs and staccatos. I'm going to connect these. So I hit staccato at the wrist, come on, and I'm connecting the left hand. Accent, a little louder. Now, 4th measure. Go ahead and that and this. Because we have repeated notes, you can play the same in the left hand. I can separate that here. measure 8, you have a accent staccato. And you can go ahead here and lift both hands at the same time. Here. Lift them both. That's not, technically you wouldn't do that. You keep the half note down the full count. And up. But interpretation wise, you can get away with this. So if you want to go ahead, just lift them at the same time. Because you got to move the left hand down anyway. Accent. We get to measure 15, that's sforzando, the S, F, Z, that is a major accent. That is, you land on it, says, you just boom, and let the wrist collapse a little bit, don't pound on it, just a loud accent, a staccato, and then accent. So I put in the articulation, which can be tricky. You may have to practice this one hand at a time for a while for the articulation so you can get a feel for it, because it's not the same in each hand. Then I think about the dynamics, and that applies to the melody. At the beginning, the melody's in the right hand. That EMF is mezzo forte. The left hand is soft. That makes the accented note a loud note, because the accent will take it up from mezzo forte to forte. Now, second line, measure 7, you come down a little bit, then up, and after the double bar, come back down to mezzo forte, you're going to go up to loud. And that's the left hand. Now the melody's in the left hand. These chords need to be soft. Another sforzando, S-F-Z, sforzando. It's a major accent. Let the wrist collapse a little bit. Don't pound. And measure 16. Each one gets a little softer. So now you're soft in measure 17, and that's the right hand. The left hand's very soft. That takes the accented notes in measure 18 and 19 up to about moderately soft. You just go up a little bit. And then for the last line, you're loud to start in the right hand. And then they want you to crescendo to a loud. I'm already loud. So obviously they don't tell you everything. You can't crescendo to a loud if you're already loud. So you have to come back down, maybe to a moderately soft, moderately loud, and go back up to a loud. So here, so start this down a little bit, and it's both hands. And then the last note is loud again. Well, I'm already loud on this. To me, that's loud. And I'm just staying loud. So I think the F belongs in the first beat of that last measure, not the second. It's interpretation. How do you feel these dynamics? You play it through and get comfortable with it. Do you feel the dynamics here? Feel the dynamics for the melody, wherever it is. So once I have an idea of the dynamics, now I think about the speed. There's no set speed. Cheerful and lively, good luck with the cheerful part. We'll try and do lively. It's too early in the morning for me for that. We'll see what we can do with that. They give you a metronome marking, but that's just a suggestion. These 16th notes have to be even. So if that is as fast as you can play it evenly, then that is going to be your cheerful and lively for now. You can always come back to the piece later on. Play through the book for fun, and you'll play them a little faster and better. Otherwise, it's 1, 2, 1, 1. In my opinion, if you can play this that fast, you're probably well more advanced than this book. So slow it down. That 112 I think is a bit fast. Or this piece does not belong in this book, and it belongs in the next book. But that's my opinion. One thing I mentioned on these slurs in the left hand, they're just slurring it from measure to measure. I suggest you connect it all. Connect all this. Except, of course, for the staccato. Even though you might lift up in the right hand, connect the left hand. Remember the natural accents? 1, 2. And when you split a beat up like this, 1 E ended, 2 E and so forth, each beat gets a little natural accent. So here, exaggerate it at first if you have to, like we do in the scale. Exaggerate these so you can feel them. It'll help to keep the runs even and controlled if you can do that. But when you're playing it, you don't exaggerate them. You just feel the natural accents. 1, 2, 1, 2. Don't copy me. That's just one way it might be played. You don't have to take it that fast. You take it at your speed. See if you can play around a little bit with these dynamics and see if you can feel anything else with them. You can play this at least slowly with no hesitations. Let's play it together so you can check your notes and rhythms. I'm not going to do the dynamics. I will do the accents and maybe the sforzando, but not louds and softs. Now give us 2 counts because there's 2 beats in a measure, and because there's eighth notes everywhere, I'm going to put the metronome on eighth notes. 1 and ready, go. And